Hey, Rock on Beer viewers, welcome back again, and welcome back to Rocket Week on Rock on Beer. Rocket, rocket, rock, rocket, rocket. I'm doing these reviews consecutively, if you haven't noticed, from the way that I can't talk anymore. But I refuse to do any cuts because you deserve the truth. And to hear my cat jumping around like a parkour. Anyway, on to the review. This is Rocket Brewing Company, and if you haven't watched the other episodes, you should. And but it's a very new brewery here in Denmark, and kind of a lot of buzz about them. So this is their Zero Gravity Brett IPA, and it's 100% fermented with Brettanomyces, which that's becoming really popular right now, and it's actually something that I think is pretty cool actually. So I've been looking forward to trying this one. Let's see the old captain's log here. Let's see. Life for the spaceman is a constant longing for weightlessness. There's a pause. To reach zero gravity is to be suspended in a state where no sense of weight is imposed on the body. It is absolute freedom of the body and soul without inhibitions. Zero gravity is the spaceman's drug. Zero is also the gravity and the name of this Brett IPA, made from water, malt, wheat, hops, and Brettanomyces yeast, brewed and bottled in Denmark. So it is a 7.1% IPA, 100% fermented with Brettanomyces. So got the glass ready because who knows what could happen here. Pop it open. It is not gushing out, so that is awesome. And let's give a pour to Zero Gravity. Learned my lesson from the last beer. Now this is, obviously it's super highly carbonated, but for a Brett beer, that's totally understandable as well. I don't know if you can see the color be underneath the head, but it's a nice light orange, similar to the pale ale, with just a massive head on it from the carbonation. But it's nice and white and frothy. Definitely a Brett beer. I get that from the nose. But the difference between the difference between a beer that's been fermented with clean yeast and then had Brett added to it, you usually get that kind of more barnyardy, the classical Brett that you know from farmhouse ales, saisons, and beers like that, where it's added as a secondary. This has the definite smell of a beer that's been primary fermented with Brett. So it has it's less of that kind of smoky, musty smell, and more kind of like bright fruits and it's not completely fruit, but it's definitely it's quite bright, and it's like it's like lemon juice brightness, if you smell something that's really intensely acidic, but there's no acid in it, so, well, just going to taste it instead of rambling about it. It's very nice. It's bone dry. With a name like Zero Gravity, they're not kidding. This is intensely dry. An intensely dry beer. If you don't know, gravity is how much sugar is left in the beer, and your standard IPA will will stop out at about 1.00 or 1.010, so 1010, maybe 1012 depending. And that's a pretty standard gravity for an IPA. And when you get down below that, that's when you start getting super dry like this one. And if this one ended at 1.000, it is like intensely dry. There's basically no sugar left in the wort, and I can definitely get it. I mean, it is just Sahara Desert dry in your mouth, which I actually like it like that. Sorry for the cut there. The camera died. We at Rock on Beer, we run a really professional TV quality show here. Make sure that before we record our reviews, the camera is at least half charged, if not slightly less, so as to maintain the professionalism of this channel. So back to the review, and I'm sorry about that. It definitely, like I was saying about Brett, this is definitely less barnyard and more orchard. So it has a really nice smell. The taste is, like I said, it's super bone dry. The gravity is definitely low on this beer because of the dryness, obviously. But even though, like I was saying, even though the dryness might put a few people off, I actually really like it, and I think that it's an interesting mouthfeel for a beer like this. And the thing that I like most about Brett IPAs or Brett 100% Brett fermented beers in general is the fact that they really intensify the fruit flavors of, for instance, hops, which is what this one is doing right now. All right, take 3 since the camera died yet again. I'm just gonna get right into it. The taste of this beer is, I would call it bready fruit. Definitely, there's a lot of Brett flavor here. There is some of that really, and it's difficult to it's not intense Brett flavor like the wet basement, but it's I mean you can't mistake it for anything else but Brett. And then the hops that are in here, they're kind of piney, citrus, fruity hops, and they're really kind of modified and I mean by the Brett, obviously it modifies the flavor a little bit, so you get kind of this really weird dank, or not weird, but it's pleasant. Actually, it's a pleasant dank kind of piney, bitter lemon peel type flavor. And I mean, speaking of bitter, it's a very bitter beer. Between the bitterness and the dryness, it's very it's very mouth coatingly like. I mean, yeah, your mouth can't decide whether it's busy being super dried out or just kind of puckering from the bitterness in it. So definitely, yeah, high IPA type bitterness, and it's a cool beer. Actually, I like it more for the really kind of unique mouthfeel that it gives than, for instance, the fact that it's pleasantly fruity or hoppy, because the hops are a bit. I mean, they're struggling in there with the dryness and the bitterness and everything else that's going on. But I actually think that it's a really interesting beer, and it's actually my favorite now out of the bunch so far. I would give it a solid 8. This is a cool beer to try because it's one of, if not the most dry beer I've ever had. I mean, it's pretty cool to from that perspective to try something like this, and I think it makes the beer pretty interesting. Would be cool to have some more hops or some more fruitiness because I think that the Brett would really lend itself to that. But yeah, definitely an 8, and definitely check this one out because it's one of the better Brett IPAs that I've tried recently. So yeah, I've got one or two more Rocket beers, and I promise I'll charge the camera up before I review them. And I hope that you'll join me for our next journey in Rocket Week. And until then, cheers. Pouring it into a nice pint glass. And all of these beers are crisis averted. Crisis averted. We almost had beer down there.